Okay, we're ready. It's 9 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could have the Pledge of
I saw
Allegiance.
Bonnie saying what a great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And the roll call, please.
All right, so we have Lorraine Benefield,
Here.
Neil Brennan,
Here.
Ken Jones,
Here.
Elaine Clyde,
Here.
April McLaughlin,
Here.
Phyllis Peters,
Here.
Edith Bramlow, Carol Spring,
Here.
Shavonna Reed.
Here. Okay, that sounds like a quorum. Reading and approval of the minutes. Did everybody read them? Have any questions, additions? I read them. They look perfect. Everything seems to be okay. All right.
I move we approve the minutes as it stands.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Everybody approve the minutes? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So, what I'd like to do at this time before we get into like our nitty gritty of our meeting is I would like to thank somebody special for their, I can't even describe all the good things that this person has added to this board and sort of shaped the board, helped shape the board over the years, been involved with Love Your Library. I mean, she's washed so many glasses and dishes I can't even describe. So Phyllis Peters, and Eric's gonna give a little recognition.
Yes, for those of you that aren't aware, Ms. Phyllis has decided that it's time to have to step away for a while. And I've been working with Ms. Phyllis for I don't know how long. It's been amazing. But I wrote some things down because I knew I wouldn't remember them all because I never have enough coffee in me by this time of day to keep it all together. And there's just been a whole lot. And so I just want to say, you know, Ms. Phyllis first joined the Friends of the Library down in Floral City. I don't know exactly how long ago that was. It was a long time ago. But what I am sure of is I can't remember a time when she wasn't involved in the library in one point or another. And I also met her husband, Frank, what seemed to be about 20 years ago, I think it was, back when the thoughts of a new Floral City Library was just an acorn of a thought. And of course, now we see with a lot of hard work of great many folks, including Phyllis, we turned that project into something really special for that community. And of course, I remember the dozens of times that her and Frank would come to many of our libraries, and especially Floral City, but they came to the others with Mr. and Mrs. Claus. They were always the best, Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
Yes.
Anybody that remembers that knows. There was no better team than Phyllis and Frank for that. And they did it for the kids, and they did it for the library, and they did that with renewed dedication every year. Phyllis, we thank you both very much. You know, Phyllis, your passion for the library and enthusiasm that you've brought through the years has been an inspiration to many. You know, myself very much is included in that group. You know, I remember back July of 2010 was when Phyllis first joined the Library Advisory Board to continue to be an advocate for her beloved Floral City, but also to help all the libraries across the county because she saw it that important for this community. You know, she's always excited about what she can do for the library, you know, always excited for what she can do to help others and always offering those positive and kind words to all of us and offering, best of all, her time. As you noted, even if it's washing the dishes for an event. When the Love Your Library events kicked off in February of 2011, she was one of the very first ones to jump right in and get to work. You know, back then, we were successful despite what
Ourselves.
despite what we knew. We didn't know what we didn't
anything.
know back then, but we pulled them off. You know, just a little story. I call it the library wine story, and you know, we thought we had this idea back then that we would have one of the. Phyllis knew a a wine supplier that would put private labels on whatever you wanted. And then we were going to have Love Your Library, and we were going to sell all this wine. And it was great. It was a cool label. It was private bottle. It had a label that looked like a library card on it. It was fantastic. I'm not sure how much we actually sold at the event, but I do know that a lot of us bought a lot of wine, and so a lot of library staff and volunteers and friends of the library had wine for a long time. But it was good wine,
It was good
fortunately.
wine.
Yes, I know that down in Floral City they were still serving that wine a couple of years later at some of their heritage events. So it was a good thing. But the point was, she would go and she drove to Tampa to get it, and back and forth, and just whatever needed to be done, Phyllis was there to do it. She was a huge volunteer for Love Your Library, and for that event as a part of this board, and of course many other roles that she has filled as a friend of Floral City Library, and of course a board member and a president and all of the above for several years. You know, something that I feel so perfectly sums up Miss Phyllis to me is I remember vividly standing out in the parking lot, and I think we were unloading the wine, or we were doing something back then, and I can't remember. We were unloading boxes of something for Love Your Library.
Wine glasses.
Glasses, the wine glasses. The many trips back and forth between the old courthouse and the library with wine glasses. And you know, and I was just thanking her for always being so involved and always taking the time to help. And she looked at me and she just said, "Oh, I'd much rather wear out than rust out." and that has stuck with me. You know, and of course then she added, "and always for a good cause." You know, that simple phrase has stayed with me since then, and it inspires me, and I'm sure it inspires others. I don't know if you were the first to say it, but you were certainly, that was the first time I had heard it, and I just loved it. So I want to keep that in our thoughts, but much rather wear out than rust out. You know, Miss Phyllis, there is no way that you could ever rust out because you don't sit still long enough to even let the dust settle. So we know that. And we know that you haven't worn out yet either. So, but sometimes, you know, things change and we have to shift our priorities, you know, to those that we love, including ourselves. So if you come up for just a moment, I just want to present you with this small token of our appreciation for the time here on the Library Advisory Board, and to thank you for giving us 12 and a half years on this board and what feels like a lifetime of dedication to the library.
Aww.
And so this is a nice little pin, and it's called The Symbol of Knowledge,
It's really pretty.
and it's a book within a wreath, so.
Aw.
Put the pictures after. All good. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry. And thank you, Phyllis, for everything.
I just remember the first time I was taking wine glasses to the first one, and I had a flat tire,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
and I called Eric and said, "I'm coming, but I don't know when."
And when we say wine glasses, how many were there? About 300?
Yep.
Yeah,
I had
300.
about
We had
300,
boxes and
Yeah.
boxes.
and I still have them. So when we ever have another event,
Okay.
See, I
And
told
we
you.
find them in the stacks the next day.
And the wine glasses, we don't have a dishwasher at the library. So Phyllis, we packed them all up, and then she took them home and washed them all and put them all away afterwards. So it was like, bring them, wash them, put them back, store them. It was just a whole big ordeal of the wine glasses. So
but it was fun.
it was fun. We did have fun. Okay, so at this point, open to the public. Do we have any public? We don't have any public today.
No.
So, okay, we'll move on then. Report of officers and standing work groups. So I guess at this point, we want to talk about the Reading Tree and Lyle. Maybe that's a good
Would
time.
you like to just bring up Reading Tree at this point?
Yeah, I think Reading Tree, this is a good time to talk about it.
We can give you an update on where we stand. and what's
Exactly.
Throwing off our timeline this morning. I was not expecting Reading Tree in this section,
Well.
April. It's okay. So yes, Reading Tree is coming back for a third year this year. It will be February of 2023. Right? Yes. Okay. Ooh, 2023. So Eric and I have been already working with our materials management staff to get everything kind of set up on the back end. We will once again be using an online form for people to purchase their donation online, and then we will be accepting the donations on behalf of those who are in honor or in memory of for the books in our branches as well. So we will have more details coming soon on our social media once things are official and kind of set in stone, but it is returning for February. Does anyone else have questions?
Just
Yes.
in the branch, then, what will they have? Like an envelope, and they'll just fill it out with a paper. And,
So that is one of the details that we are working on. We are
Okay.
trying to find the easiest, least headache way for staff to help our patrons in the branch be able to make those donations. So I don't want to speak out of turn with the plan that we have that hasn't been fully tested yet. So
okay. So you're working on it.
yes,
The online
we're
options will
yes.
still be
Yeah.
available as
Yep.
last year.
Okay.
Yep. And we are actually looking at trying to maybe open it up a little early. So if there's any businesses or people locally that you know, last year there were a couple of businesses that donated in their business's name. Gulf to Lake Marine Trailers was one that has donated the last 2 years. And so we've put their business's name in the cover of the books, and I believe they've done youth books the last couple of years.
So I'm
so.
sure you probably have this part in the works, but how are we getting the word out, advertising, whatever about this? What's that going to be like?
There will be flyers and there will be social media that goes out throughout January and February, kind of kicking it into high gear. We try to get through the first couple of weeks of January, let the staff and the county kind of recover from the holiday season, and then be ready to push out information from there. I would say our big push would probably start right around Martin Luther King Jr. weekend when we will be out at Manatee Festival. So we'll have stuff ready for when we're out during that event.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yep.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
Good.
Thank
Okay.
you. I think we're good.
Good. And the other thing that we've been talking about is Lyle, because that was our sort of our trademark event. We're going to reconstitute that, but it's not going to be the wild extravaganza. We don't have the time, people, staff, or space to do anything like that. So what it's probably going to be are smaller events, and we're going to move them out into different libraries in different areas of the county. That's probably about all that we've talked about so far. We probably will use it as, it will be a fundraising event, but that won't be the main focus. The main focus will be the outreach into the community and just getting out there again after COVID and getting into the libraries and having sort of a signature event for the friends of the library, people that are advocates for the library, people that want to just socialize with other people, and sort of the same feeling that we had at the original event, just on smaller scales at different places in the county. So that's what we've come with so far. A lot of it had to do with there was bookkeeping pieces to it that we have to get straightened out. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but we're talking about it and reconstituting it in a smaller venue. So I'll let you know what else comes up with that. But that's just where we are right now. You want to add anything to that?
No, I think you're good, and I think we'll probably, I would recommend to the board as as we get into the new year, February will be the first meeting in the new year after everyone gets reestablished, and start talking seriously in February about how to plan for that for the following February. So that would be a year out, so we'll be able to have time to put that together.
Right. Exactly. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I have a question. So as I understand it, you're thinking of doing it throughout the counties at the 5 libraries, but not just in 1 month, maybe throughout the whole year?
Yes, it would be spread out.
Okay,
Right,
so
right.
depending on events. Yeah, well, I think I like that idea. And for example, when you had the 4C Con this year, that would have been a perfect opportunity to have a table set up, because you had vendors, have a Lyle there there that make donations to the library. I don't think that would compete with the Friends at all. And even if it does, the money goes right back anyway, so the libraries. But on those major events, I think there should be a Lyle component now.
Yes, I agree.
And then by putting it in the public venue all the time, I think it's just greater awareness. We had a lot of bang for the buck once a year because it was in a newspaper and all. But when you have these big events, I think let's capitalize on it.
That's true. That is very true. And that's pretty much the idea, is to get the name and the word back out in the county, because we had to take the hiatus for 3 years. So.
But these events are the best way to do it because people are there. What do we have? 300 there at the
Yeah.
the
The
4C
visibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I mention something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I've taken both the Sheriff's Academy, Citizens Academy class, and the county's Citizens Academy class, and Eric was one of the speakers at one of the classes. And I gotta tell you, those courses are so fun. They tour you around the county, and you get to know all of the operations. And I thought, this would be really a wonderful thing for the library.
Right.
If we could do the shuttle buses like they have with the Citrus, County Transit, and take people to our different libraries and have, the different management speak on how they run their store and all that. I think that it would be really a wonderful tool to reach the community. And it would also get the older folks out on the bus. They get to meet new people, perhaps build relationships to get their own rides to the libraries and so forth. And I don't know if this is possible, but I think it would be nice to have like a little cafe next to the library somehow. I don't know how that would work out, but I know when I was in Minnesota, we had the Barnes and Noble bookstore, and that had a lot of traffic in the mall. It was amazing. It was fun, and I just enjoyed the environment very much. So I think that would be a great way to keep people. So if they wanted a cup of a Joe, or they wanted to have a little snack, they could, have a cafe right next door. It would be great. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, that is part of the component of Love Your Library. It's just the way it is. We have to have food and drink. So we did talk about that exact thing, that would be a component of it, where maybe not like before we had this giant catered event. It wouldn't be something like that. But like you're saying, more of a cafe style, snacky, drinky kind of an event. So yes, yes, that will be part of it. Absolutely. Library people like to eat. I don't know what to say. We always have food. Anybody else have anything on Lyle?
I just have one suggestion, and I've talked about this before. There's a program called An Evening in the Stacks, and and this would be perfect for individual libraries, where you have people come in and there's food and drink, but you get a tag put on your back, and you're given clues, and you have to go through the stacks and find the author of the book, and then you get prizes, for that, and then you get to eat and drink and socialize. But it's a contained event just in the library, and it's like a scavenger kind of game that people can play and get prizes for it.
And that's exactly what we're researching. Things like that, like a reason to come out, an event, something where you can, have some kind of socializing with some snacks and drinks, and something to actually come out to the library for. And usually our people, the public that love the library, they'll attend those kind of events. It's more of a literary event, and so that gives a little cachet to it. So we will do something like that, and I love that idea. It sounds great. So we'll look into that further, as well as the food and drink component of it.
All wonderful ideas.
So they're good. Thanks, you guys, for your input.
One example, in addition to the 4C Con, have homegrown authors.
Yes.
Day.
Yep.
How many
Signing their
locals,
books.
you could get 5 or 10 of them together at a branch and just.
And that's another good idea. And that's the thing, if we're gonna have them at different branches, we have to have different ideas. We can't do Floral City and do the same thing we do in Lake. So if we have 5 libraries, we have to have 5 good ideas. So we're gonna have to incorporate all these ideas and come up with each branch will have its own signature event.
What we will do, and again, that's right. Ideas generate other ideas. So what I'll do is you guys keep talking and keep going, and I'll jot down all of it, and then take it back to the staff, and then we'll hash through, and we'll come back and say, well, this is good, and this is really hard, and this is possible, and so that way we can all kind of get to start to distill that down to, in that first year, you might just want to do a couple, just to get the wheels going again, and then move, and then build on it from year to year at the multiple locations. Because you can move around, like you said, you don't have to be at the same locations each year.
Yeah, which is nice. And well, like what I was saying, we take all the ideas and then start researching. Like, let's look and see, have other libraries done these type of events? What's been successful? What's been not successful? What fits us because we're smaller, and some of these events are maybe too large, but we could scale them down. So there's a lot of research that goes into it before you have an event like this.
All right, well, then I'm going to throw my little idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was looking up this before. To get us the PR is something that goes into the Guinness World Book of Records. Okay, something, and the one that I've read, and there's a lot of them online, but one of them, which I don't know would be appropriate for us, but they had how many people came to the library in their pajamas. Okay, and
Oh, I like that
okay,
too.
and they had whatever it was 200 or whatever it was, but they got in the World Book of Records. They got national publicity. They got on TV and everything else. So we might just think of something crazy that we can do that people would like.
I
We have
love
to come up-
crazy.
Yeah, the biggest stack of records or something like that. That's easy, but we can make our name and get publicity for it. So
I like that
go
too.
for the records.
I love that too. Oh my gosh, everybody has good
No
ideas.
pressure. Thanks, Nick.
That's why we ask. That's why we ask. We want
That's it.
lots of ideas. Oh, that's great. Anybody else have anything?
April, just 2 things. I hope that means we involve and get each friends, like Friends of the Coastal,
Yeah, each friends
involved
would,
in this,
each friends would have to be involved.
so
Absolutely.
that they help generate the ideas and then they feel more like doing them. And secondly, City of Crystal River and a lot of the nonprofits are celebrating 100 years, 40 years, 25 years next year. And the city's doing 100 days of Crystal River. And of course, the Three Sisters is going to be closed for a while they renovate. But the concept of all of these multiple celebrations might be something to pay attention to, how they do their PR and how they experience at the events. So, and Edith's idea of the progressive bus idea is interesting. I mean, have y'all ever done a progressive dinner or progressive dessert?
Yeah, it would be a library crawl.
A pub crawl, a library crawl, right?
Exactly.
Right. So there may be more to it. Yeah, back to the glasses. Bring your own glass. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
Another good idea. Thank you. Yeah, there's and that's the thing when we talk about it like this. And I've been to the president's meetings of the Friends group and thrown it out there and said to them, listen, if you members, people in your community, if people on your boards come up with ideas, I know most of them. I'm like, okay, like let's hear from you. So we'll get more ideas as we move along in our research with this too.
And I think that's a wonderful thing because every community is a little bit different. I mean,
Right.
we deal with that with the libraries. Homosassa is very different from Inverness. Same with Crystal River, Floral City. They all have their uniqueness. So you can bend and twist events to what you think will be the most successful in that community.
And that's where the Friends come in because
That's
they
where the
are
friends come
the
in. Yes.
the flavor of their community. So
Yeah.
of course, when they're involved, then you get their input and their individual little thumbprint on it, and that makes all the difference.
Awesome.
Okay, let's see. Now we're on to our regular business. So regular business, that would be the director's report.
Thank you, April. Well, I like December. You guys start getting more creative as the holiday season comes into play. So that's the most you've talked about all of that in a while. So good stuff. Thank you.
Yep.
That will get us going. So we'll be ready to hit the ground running in February. So, and I believe that Jessica passed out. I wouldn't look at it if I were you, but it's the statement from the U.S. Family Foundation. I mean, don't look at your personal retirement accounts. Don't look at anything right now because it
No.
kind of hurts. But we hope that will indeed bounce back as they go forward. We know it will. Everything is cyclical. We've been
Hope I
seeing
live
that
that
before. But yeah, it took a little hit the last quarter, but things will stabilize and recover.
You guys are looking.
It's the only way to get us to the dime.
As soon as you
Yeah.
say don't, we go right to it.
Oh,
I know you would.
I turned the page.
You said look at it.
Curiosity, you can't help it. Yeah, but just a rundown on that. And I was speaking with April yesterday when we had a brief meeting about U.S. Family. I know we want to get Johnny Cash in and just talk about that structure for you guys in the new year and how that's managed, how it's structured, what the future looks like, how the funds are invested, and how that's, because the U.S. Family Foundation has its own board, and then this board is the managing
The foundation.
board for the Library Foundation piece. But yeah, we fully expect that to hopefully come on back anytime, as do all of us for other accounts in our lives when we see those. So yes. October, of course, we had a meeting in October, but it was a busy month. We had 2 storms that kind of pushed our schedules all over the charts. First we had Ian, and then of course Nicole later on in the month, which also pushed things. I just want to take opportunity to thank the staff again. We've mentioned it many times. The staff work with the citizens information lines. That's a lot of library staff, and of course now we've been fortunate to incorporate some other community services staff to try to share that responsibility and have a little more flexibility. One of the challenges is when we get activated, but yet we're still working, it's very hard to cover branches and citizen information lines at the same time. So, I want to thank Debbie. She's been managing that citizen information line crew for a while now and working with the EOC and going forward. We were very fortunate not to get any serious storms like South Florida. They're still recovering quite a bit. And actually, I heard that, I'm trying to remember, it was either Brevard or a county over on the other coast when the storm went over there, and I believe it was Nicole. They actually lost a roof on a library, so that caused them some serious problems. So that can happen. A storm can hit any time. We just are.
we could get our roofs done.
Maybe.
There's a positive
We
outlook.
we have some new roofs. If it does, can I pick and choose which building we want to do that on? I think Lakes is next.
Don't
but-
take the new roof.
Yes, we want to get all the books out first. Definitely. But, I just thank everybody because it's always, what it does too is it challenges staff with scheduling and just, of course, events get backed up and stacked up and everybody reschedules. And the fun thing about October, November, everything's going on. Book sales are going on. We have 2 of those. We have the big book sale. We have Molasses book sale. Then we have events, outreaches, seasonal fall outreaches, festivals. The schools are back in full swing by then, so they're having requests. So it's just a lot to do. I would say almost every single weekend from October through November up to now has had something going on. And so somebody from the library was somewhere at something almost every weekend. It was very, very good. But it's challenging to cover all of that. And then we'll get into the holidays, and then as we move into spring, we look forward to what we all call snowbird season, because that is a busy season for everybody in our community, and it's no different for us. We'll see everything get busier. I think most of you've probably already noticed on the road. The traffic is increasing. Lots of projects in the county, lots of growth in a lot of different areas. And as I mentioned to April in our meeting yesterday, we have to plan for that as well. So, we're going to be going into a planning season starting in January. We have to have a new strategic plan for the library developed by August. That's a requirement for state aid grants and other types of grant qualifications. So that 5-year strategic plan will be ready by August, but there's a whole lot of input that has to go into that. I'll request input from this board. I'll request input from all friends groups. I'll request input from staff and the community and other types of things. And then we'll be bringing that probably to this board. I believe I have to look at the schedule. We have a July meeting sometime around then. And then it'll go before the Board of County Commissioners around August. So lots of eyes will be on that. So we're looking forward to that. Let's see. What else happened? Early voting. We had a very successful, two of our sites, we've mentioned it before, Central Ridge and Beverly Hills, Homosassa, both early voting sites. There were no problems in any of those. And I didn't check the final stats, but I'm pretty sure Central Ridge was still, again, the #1 early voting site in the county. It's just a large area, so a lot of people go there to vote. And that handled the traffic very well. We'll see how it holds up when the 2024 comes along, because presidentials typically pull in a ton more people, and we expect it to be quite the busy place. So we'll have to make plans for that as far as how we're going to handle that on site.
And we'll have a lot more people in our county by then.
And
too.
yes, and yeah, definitely. And for those of you that aren't keeping up in the news, we do have a new county administrator, Mr. Steve Howard. He started on November 28th, was officially his first day. He had been here for a while working anyway, I think, on just trying to get the ground running. So Steve Howard is here. And of course, as always, we haven't had a chance to meet with him personally. I mean, individually as a library, but that will come at some point. There is a lot to do, so. We're just here. Obviously, our priority is on how about the library, so we'll be focused on that. We did finish our state aid package. That is our annual grant from the state of Florida. We call it State Aid to Libraries grants. That grant program typically brings in between $55,000 and $60,000 a year for us. The vast majority of that funding goes to collection development, so that goes to books and materials. The amounts of that grant get determined by the Florida legislature each year. So as they will go into session this March, and that will determine the fundings for the next year. So this grant that we've just applied for, those funds were determined last February, March. And then these funds for next year will get determined this March and April. So as part of that too, as you all know, we work a lot with Florida Library Association in different capacities. So in March, we will, a couple of us will be up in Tallahassee during Library Legislative Day for the Florida Library Association. And that is typically the designated day to advocate to the state legislatures on increasing funding to libraries across the board, across the state. One of the other programs that got cut this past year didn't make it. And the problem with it's an outstanding program, but it can never get momentum to be consistently funded. It gets funded like every other year, which is problematic, or every third year, or sometimes it'll get 2 years in a row and then miss a couple of years. But that's the Career Online High School program. I've talked to you guys about it before. We'd like to see that get funded again. It did not get funded this past year, so we're out of scholarships at this point, statewide, I believe. Is that correct, Adam? Statewide, we're out, so we don't have any until the legislature decides to allocate some more funding for that. But that is a good program. There was a few of us, the managers for the library. We all went down to Pasco County. We took a little field trip. We haven't done that in quite some time. I think definitely since before COVID, maybe even been longer than that. Because we wanted to just, visit one of their libraries specifically to see a solution that we've talked about here briefly, but one of the things we're working on this year, and that's our print copy scan solution and public PC management that, we're trying to consolidate all of those things across the board. There's some nice features to that, but they're running a solution that we are looking to implement, same company. It will put a lot of it'll be a challenge to do it because we haven't done a project that large in quite a while, but it basically consolidates and hopefully makes easier all of those print, copy, scan type functions into a kiosk management tool. So folks can use debit cards and credit cards to pay for copies and faxes and things like that. Faxes are still to be determined. They do not do it in Pasco. It's still a I don't want to call it a dying technology. I've been trying to kill faxing for years, and it just won't go away. But there are a lot of newer technologies that are being introduced that are capable of doing similar things. It's just that not all doctors' offices, not all medical centers, not all the state. Generally, the government are the ones that are the least advanced in this area. But you have lots of electronic DocuSign and other types of things that are being used now to make fax obsolete. So we're hoping to not have to invest anything in that, but we'll see. We're evaluating it to see what it is, because we do get requests week in and week out. But there are still, I believe, most of your packing centers, your UPS stores, things like that, are pretty much the only places that offer that service anymore. It's very limited. But we'll see. We'll come back and we'll let you know as we proceed with that project.
Have you tried eFax before? eFax online? You can fax through the computer and an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's probably it's one of the services that are out there. It's just one of the there are many technologies that do that very same thing. So there are options for people. It's getting for people that are coming in and wanting to fax something, their level of understanding of the technology. We're there to help them, but we can't help the other end. The other side, whatever doctor's office or agency that they're working with won't accept it. So that's been the key issue. They'll come in and say, "Oh, I was told I have to fax this. I have to fax it." Well, we can scan it and email it now if it's not a sensitive document. No, I have to fax it. Those sorts of things. So we got to get past that, and it's a learning curve for patrons and for agencies and businesses on the other end. We will keep moving forward though. Okay. Little staffing update. Let me find my cheat sheet. All right. So we hired a new youth librarian. I think did we mention it last time? I don't think we did. I don't think we had finalized it at the last meeting. Our new youth librarian for Homosassa is Michael Bridges. Mike started this a couple weeks ago, last Monday. Mike started, so he's getting his training in and getting his feet wet and just diving in full speed. We're excited to have Mike on board. It's down in Homosassa. I don't know, Ken, if you've had an opportunity to meet Mike yet?
Yes, I did.
All right, great. Yeah. So we're excited about that. The full-time library aide position that was vacated by Seth Wellful at Central Ridge, that was a promotional opportunity for an internal staff person, Stephanie Hildebrand. So she'll be headed over from Coastal to Central Ridge. And then now we have 2 open positions right now that we're seeking. We have a library aide position part-time that we're seeking to fill Stephanie's position that she vacated when she was promoted. And we have the branch supervisor at Lakes Region. That's a harder position to fill. I was just speaking with Adam before we started the meeting. We're going to regroup on that and repost that again with some slightly modified requirements. I've been working with Human Resources to try to attract a broader scope of folks with supervisory experience. And we're not the only ones experiencing this. It's tough. It's the job market is very hard. Finding people that are qualified with experience, especially in the supervisory realm, is difficult. So we will continue to drive forward on that. And I think that was all that I had. And so I will turn it over to some region manager updates if you guys are ready. Yes, ma'am. Questions? Sorry.
Did I miss it, or do we have a total for the book sale?
Oh, yes. I apologize.
I was going to bring that up when we were done.
I did not have the total with me.
$35,000.
It was almost $36,000.
So
Do you recall what
I
it was,
did
Taylor?
last year.
She's tracking. Taylor will have that number for you in a few minutes. I'm sure we posted it at some point. And then Homosassa was 7?
About 62.
62, that's right.
That was net.
Net.
Yeah.
Yeah, you netted 62. So you made, that's amazing. And between the two, allowed them together, I'm pretty sure we were over 40
And
for the book sale season.
Speaking of the storms, the big book sale was closed on Friday because of the storm.
Yeah,
So they only had Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
No, not this time.
And we still matched
That was the
We moved
previous
it
one.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
What's
To
that?
Move it.
We had to move it.
Oh, we had to move it 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that was the
That's
other
what it was.
hurricane.
Yeah,
like
you're
6
remembering the
years
other
ago.
one, which
I'm
is
thinking of
true.
the storm. What
Yeah,
did
we
have
did
to
have
do?
one.
We moved it 2 weeks.
Yeah, we
That's
actually had to move it and
Yeah.
completely reschedule it, but it still did amazingly
right. The
well.
storm
Yeah.
took it completely
Yes.
off the
Yeah.
map. That's right.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No
Imagine what
worries.
we did the prior year, just about.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
it's
moving
always
storms.
the
Amazing.
October book sale is very tricky because of the storm season. You just never know. We had been lucky for years and years and years, and then we about 10 years ago. No, I can't remember.
About 6.
It was Hurricane Michael,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it came up the other coast actually, but caused that Friday night to get canceled.
Yes.
But then went up and hit St. Augustine. That was the first time we had one, and then this time
We had to move it 2
we
weeks.
simply had to cancel because that was Ian.
Yes.
And Ian was coming right at us, so we had no
Uh-huh.
choice but to completely cancel the book sale.
Yeah.
And we just got lucky because there was one open weekend, because there was already everything booked up through
Mm-hmm.
at the fairgrounds auditorium. So we got very lucky. There was one weekend, and boom, it worked, and all is well. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we'll
that was
keep our
crazy.
fingers crossed moving
I knew
forward.
we moved it. I couldn't remember what. Thank
Yes.
You. Yeah, we had to move it completely.
And then Homosassa has had really good luck in the November
they had
following.
theirs.
Being on the other side of the county, that sale just
That
works,
works.
and it just is a good area. And I know it's a lot of hard work because they have to move everything in and out of the library. So,
Wow.
and the space is a little limited at times, but they do very, very well.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
They did good.
very good. Debbie,
Okay. Debbie.
Okay. Like Eric said, it has been very busy. We've been out and about everywhere doing everything. But one of the things we did recently, we had Friday night the Heritage Days carols and canned carols, and we had a story walk there. What was there, about 50 kids that went? No, more?
yeah, it was a lot of kids.
Yes.
around. It was amazing.
Okay, no problem. So it was a really fun event. We had the story walk and crafts inside and candy canes, and it was a lot of fun. Then we also, system-wide, we had the Toys for Tots book delivery. There was what, about 2,000 books?
1,600.
1,600 books
Valued
that we
at
re-
about
children's
$12,000.
books that we received, and we were, with the help of Taylor and Karen and myself, we got them all unboxed and sorted, and we were able to donate a lot of them through the Education Foundation. They have a Santa program with Publix, so the children were able to get books. They'll be getting books for Christmas. We are still looking at other places. We're looking at the Family Resource Center with Ginger Rogers and things like that to deliver the books to them too. So, at Central Ridge, we put in a Lego wall. If you haven't seen it, swing by. We have a portion of our wall with the green Lego panels, so children can just go up and build things on the wall. It's really neat to see. And at Coastal Region, we started our seed library. So that was a huge success. It's getting a lot of people in, and they're, handing out seeds left and right. So that is the third branch that has seed libraries now. So that's all I have.
Is that coastal lakes and?
Homosassa.
Homosassa.
You meant Seed Library, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Lego Wall is at Lakes,
Lakes
and,
and
Central.
Central.
Right.
Soon to be more, I'm sure.
Yes.
They're very popular.
Yep.
Legos are amazing.
Yep.
I want a Lego wall in my office myself.
Just don't step on them in your bare feet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Good point. Good point. And Debbie, you also had volunteers for reading.
Reading, yes. We had quite a few readers, library volunteers, Jessica, Taylor, myself,
Yes.
April, and that'll be coming back in February.
Right.
So I'll get the word out. So if you're interested in reading, also Doreen read for us the past time. So yes.
Good things.
It's a really great program,
Yeah.
and it only takes like a half hour. So if you
Yeah, not even. If you're
you-
interested, just get with Debbie.
get with Debbie, it's a great program.
She can give you some dates and schools. We're always looking for additional readers, particularly for the kindergarten segment, because there's about 60 different slots to fill. So we're always looking for volunteer readers. And I know I say it every time, but if you want to feel good about the world, just go read to 5-year-olds. It's perfect. They love that. And then
It's a great experience.
They're-
And they
you're
all
a
go
star when you walk into a little classroom.
Home, they all
It's
go
great.
home with a book. It's
Yep,
really cool.
and they all get to go home with a book. So, Adam.
Great. Just a couple things that we've been working on for the past couple months. You've heard me talk about them, but we just finally got to launch the Florida History Through the Fossil Record exhibit that we have at Lakes. We did that on November 19th. And that one was very well attended. We've seen a lot of interest in those type of programming. We've done them throughout the library system. But following that program, we had a Oreodont program, which kids and families got to excavate little fossils of this. It's called an Oreodont, which is like a pig. They had a lot of fun with that. And we've seen a lot of interest in the cases that we've had up so far. People are coming, looking at them, asking questions. They're just generally excited to see that kind of exhibit in their library. It's not something that everyone would expect, but they come in and they're really engaging with it and asking questions and checking out the books that we've got on display next to it. So it's been a really fun kind of interactive display. And then on November 30th over at the Homosassa Library, we finally launched our Birding Backpacks program. That one was a partnership with the Audubon Society, and we had Florida Friendly Landscaping come out and do a presentation. We had a presentation on birds, and then also the Audubon Society did a presentation kind of in conjunction with that, just to talk about getting out and going to different trails and things in our area. So the backpacks are available now for people to check out. We're hoping that the word gets out for those and more people get to utilize those because they are a fun resource. And we are seeing that more and more of our patrons really like that type of programming. So it's a really kind of a wonderful thing to have that we can offer our libraries. They like the gardening and landscaping, especially as it relates to Florida. Birding and getting in the trails and being out in nature is obviously a very big part of our community. So we're very fortunate to have started that program.
And which
yes.
library is that?
All 5 branches have a backpack currently. It may expand as we get more into the program, depending on what kind of what the public is looking for, whether we go more towards families or, like do backpacks with kids, I guess, or we just kind of keep it with what we currently have. So,
What's in the backpack?
So in the backpack is a set of binoculars. There is a birding guide, a trail map of local trails in Citrus County. There's also a second book on just birding identification as well. And there is it's just a kind of a sheet to tell you all the different birds, and you kind of like a checklist and a history of kind of where you found them. So that's currently what's in our backpacks. And there's some Audubon Society flyers as well if people want to become members to that.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you check it out for 2 weeks, or how long do you keep it?
Yes, you check it out for 2 weeks, just like any other of our materials. So everything is just checked out for 2 weeks. Yes.
That's cool.
All right.
We'll
So-
try to remember to bring one to the February meeting, and just for a little show and tell.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool.
All right. Thank you.
Very good.
Did you include a pith helmet with it?
And
think they need a whistle
in case it get lost.
Well, now there's a thought.
Yeah.
We never get lost.
You're in Citrus County.
Unless we're in Citrus Springs on the road. I always get lost there.
Thanks,
Great.
Adam.
Taylor.
That was great.
On a quick note on the birding backpacks, Vicki was able to finish the web page on our website for them. So if you go to our citruslibraries.org website under the Services and Resources tab, there is now an individual page for the birding backpacks, which just kind of talks about our partnership with the Audubon Society and gives a little bit of history, and then has all the contents and a picture of the bag listed there with a link directly to our catalog for someone to put it on hold or reserve a backpack to be able to be brought to their branch if the one for their branch is unavailable that time. So that was a offshoot of how we set up the Compassionate Care Kit webpage as well on our website. So I did find the email with the book sale numbers, so we don't forget that one. The grand total that was made at the mega sale in October was $35,212. And then a portion of that total is kept back by the Friends of the Citrus County Library System to be able to cover their expenses for the year. So the rent for their building, different things to keep their building open. So all in all, they dispersed just over $24,000 to the 4 Friends groups of focals. So the Coastal Region Library Friends, the Central Ridge Library Friends, the Floral City Library Friends, and the Lakes Region Library Friends. They split how they do based on a percentage that's within their bylaws. So that was that number. I was very happy to find that email for you. Okay, guys, we've got a lot of little things to cover, so I will get the more businessy side of what I have for you today, which is book displays for January, February, and March. Each of you got little spreadsheets with the book displays here. So we'll start with January. You will see that we have it listed out by branch, the title of the display, and then a quick description for you. So I won't touch on everyone, but you can peruse them through. Our staff, as you know, are very punny, and they like to come up with very clever, creative, eye-catching titles, which don't always tell you exactly what books will be on that display. So we had them add a description in there. Part of our annual book displays in January is a Martin Luther King Jr. display that is done at most of our branches. So we have a variety of children and adults books that go on those displays. And usually they're very New Year's resolution-y themed displays at a couple of different branches. So if you're looking to pick up a new hobby or a new diet cookbook, there's usually something there that will be on a display. If we move to February, you will see that our branches have Black History Month displays. With February being Black History Month, those are displays that are in all of our branches, which again have a variety of titles that are topics on Black history or books written by Black authors. And then there's usually a Love Your Library display thrown in there somewhere. I believe our branches will be putting up displays next to the reading tree displays, and those are typically books that have that reading tree label on the inside to show books that have been donated in the past 2 years that were through the reading tree program. And then for March, it is Women's History Month, and so there will be Women's History Month displays at the branches, as well as just different things. I see Celebrate Florida's 178th birthday here, so there's a couple of Happy Birthday Florida displays. And then we do some different spring and St. Patrick's Day themes, so they just pick different seasonal things that are there as well. So you have those to peruse as you have time. Okay, let's see here. So as you have probably seen in our branches, we have these adorable little trees up that are our Be a Santa for a Senior trees. We work with Home Instead Senior Care every year to put those trees up. They go up in November and they are up throughout the month. And then we work with them as collection points. So anyone who takes a bulb from that tree, typically the bulbs have anything from a throw blanket to body wash or little snacks. I saw one the other day that had bird seed on it. I'm like, oh, they like to feed the birds outside their window. So we have a variety of bulbs for different seniors around the county. And if you haven't grabbed a bulb and you are so inclined, I did bring a couple with me. And so I will have those for after our meeting. But we usually collect about 600 gifts or more. I believe last year we were just at about 650 gifts were collected through our libraries. And so Janice, our courier extraordinaire, spends the months of November and early December boxing up and trying to figure out how to strategically pack boxes filled with gifts in the van without smushing any of the gifts. And then we work with Home Instead Senior Care to come and pick up those gifts almost daily at this point so that they can get those packaged and ready to hand out to the seniors who are receiving those. So They did tell us the other day that we are the largest collection point in the county, which, not that we're competitive
At all.
but
Just saying.
just saying.
It's a Guinness thing.
Yeah, right? See, we're there. One thing that we were pretty excited to do back in October, we had talked about with you that we were contacted by the Walmart of Inverness to host a reading challenge in October. And so we did that. We ran the reading challenge Books for Bikes at all 5 of our branches. And I believe just over 23,000 minutes were logged in that challenge. And for it being a very quick turnaround, we were thrilled with that number. It's very odd for us to do an October challenge. And so the participation and turnout for such a speedy turnaround, as I said, was fantastic. We were thrilled. We were able to meet with 2 of our winners Friday morning on November the 18th, right before Thanksgiving. Both of those little readers were homeschooled, so they were easily able to come out at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday to Walmart, and they were able to pick out a bike and a helmet for each of them. And then we met with our 3 other winners this past Saturday. Myself and Eric and Debbie were there, and just a happy little story. So one of our winners, our Homosassa winner, she actually got a new bike herself a little less than a year ago. And when she registered for this challenge, she had said, "Mom, if I win, I want to give my bike away to someone else who needs it." And so she was our winner. And when I talked to the mom on the phone the first time, I was like ready to cry, because it was just a beautiful, happy thing that this 11-year-old girl knew that she had already had a bike and she didn't need that bike. And so they worked with the school resource deputy, Deputy Cridlin over at Lecanto Primary School, where she had gone to school, to find a student in need. And so she, on Saturday, picked her bike and a helmet, and they were able to deliver it to the school yesterday, to the school resource deputy. And so it was just a very heartwarming moment. So our winner of a bike just gave her bike away.
Wow.
So that was just a very happy thing for us to be able to participate in. Okay, we already covered Reading Tree. That was on my list. Next, I have a little flyer here for you. It is called Introducing Heritage Hour at the Floral City Library. For the last, I'd say a little over a year, Derek Vorabach, our instruction research library at the Homosassa Library, has been doing history hour presentations. And so he tends to focus on a war or a point in time in history. Well, we are expanding that at the Floral City branch with the help of the Floral City Heritage Council, and they are doing Heritage Hour. And so with the help of Tom and crew over in Floral City, they have scheduled 3 presentations, one each in January, February, and March on local Citrus County and Floral City heritage. So this first one is going to be the Great Train Crash Collision. They have a really great name for it, and I don't have it off the top of my head, in 1956. And so that will be on the 4th Wednesday of the month in January. And they are thrilled. They are already hearing a lot of interest from people who are excited about it. And I just wanted to give you a little flyer on it in case, even if you can't make it, you could pass it on to a friend who may be interested in this topic. And I believe in February or March, Miss Marcia Beasley, who is in charge of the costume closet in the Heritage Council, will be doing a presentation on how they have collected the costumes over the years that are used in the costume closet. So it's like a walkthrough time. It's a fantastic presentation. I had the pleasure of seeing it at a Heritage Council meeting recently that April and I attended. April Frazier of the Floral City branch, the branch supervisor there, she and I attended one of the Heritage Council meetings where Marcia gave that presentation. So fantastic things coming up at Floral City. And on the topic of History Hour, if you didn't know, tomorrow is Pearl Harbor Day, and Derek will be giving a Pearl Harbor Day presentation at the Homosassa Library. So that is also tomorrow if you didn't have plans. And then I have one last thing for you. It includes show and tell. So give me just a second to pass these out, and then we'll do that.
while she's passing that out, I'll point out that tomorrow, December 7th, is also the 15th anniversary of Homosassa Library opening its doors to the public. 15 years. So it seems like 5 years, but it's actually been 15 years. So, and we just recently had to repaint the building. It looks very good, but that's just amazing. The time's flying, but all good.
I distracted them. I don't think anyone heard anything you were saying about the
Oh, you
Homosassa
handed out
Library.
library cards.
All right. So, about 6 months ago, we realized that our stock of library cards was running dangerously low and that we would need to reorder them soon. Well, it's been about 10 years since we have had a new library card design, and myself and a couple other staff members went to Eric and said, if we have to reorder library cards, could we possibly get new designs for our library cards? And so you have in front of you the 4 new versions of our Citrus Libraries library cards, which just came in the mail yesterday. Jessica and I were surrounded by boxes of library cards in the middle of the office. So we will be working with staff in the coming weeks to figure out how exactly and when we will be rolling the cards out, but it will be sometime in the next few weeks, no later than January. So the new year, new library cards. As you can see, they each have a little bit of a difference in the back on them, but they all have a very similar style to kind of match the coloring that's on the front. We kept with a very similar, the card style itself is exactly the same. We just changed the design on it. So we have something that's just very simple and very clean with the green and the navy striping. This is my favorite. The all white card with just the Discover, Learn, Engage that's on it. We've kind of been giving them nicknames. I call this one the more modern card that we have. The all orange one was kind of everyone liked it, but it was no one's absolute favorite, but we all really liked it until it came in. And now I'm like, this one may be my actual favorite. I don't know. But this is kind of our fun, funky card. It's very bright and exciting. Is that your favorite, Ken? Is that what you're saying?
It stands out.
It does. And then we
I like the way you
have
think.
our classic card. Yes. So we had a blast getting to kind of work as a staff to design and rework these cards. It's been a while since we've had a not navy blue card. That when we were opening the boxes, I was like, this is very odd. Everything is very white. It's good. It's very pretty. We're excited. But very different colors than we've been using in the past. So this is, okay. So first our library system started with paper cards. Eric has a paper card in his collection. Then
No,
we
Eric's is in the Pirates.
Yeah.
It is.
close
I've
enough.
been collecting library cards
Yes,
for a while.
yes.
The one
our-
that is the paper card, back when they first started issuing those cards, was actually my grandmother's card. So.
He's got a little historical baggie of library cards that he keeps in a hidey hole drawer in his office that we don't talk about using, and he gives me this look of don't go too far when I borrow the baggie from him. So the first plastic card that we had in the county was a blue card. It was kind of like a royal blue, navy blue color with a white border. Anyone who has those cards refuses to give them up. Like, they are holding on to those cards like it's the last thing they have. We see them occasionally at the branches, and
It's when they first automated, 1995.
Oh, wow.
they are not giving those suckers
93.
up.
93 to 95.
Then we have two variations of the teal card. There's an all teal card. My first library card in the county was one of the teal ones. And then we have the navy blue card that has been around for about the last 10 years. It's had a couple of variations to it, but it had keychains to it. So we are excited to now be able to offer choices, options for people. When they come up, they can choose their card and get to pick something a little different. One of our staff members who's got a couple of kids, was very excited. She's like, guys, every person in my family can now have a different library card, and I will know whose keychain card is whose on my keychain now. And I was like, see, there we go. So staff who have seen it are excited, and we are thrilled to be able to start rolling these out, as I said, in the new year. And speaking of anniversaries and things, you also have on your spots Hours bookmarks that are kind of a special limited edition bookmark there. That is our 35th anniversary bookmark. So those are the new Hours bookmarks that we are handing out at all of our branches right now until we kind of blow through those, and we'll put our standard orange bookmark back out. But we wanted to do something commemorative and celebratory. We know 35 years isn't always a big anniversary year, but you know, why not celebrate the library's sticking around for 35 years around here? So there's Hours bookmarks there for you. So there's a couple. You can hand them to a friend, a new neighbor who knows of a snowbird's moving in down the road from you for a few months. They can come in, get a non-resident card. They're only $15. They get full access to everything, which is not a commonly known thing or common with other snowbird cards. So I think that is everything I have for you, unless you have questions. Nothing? Oh, Carol. Yes.
Taylor, I was, going to the website, and I saw the announcement about the A Snake Falls to Earth
Yes.
ebook.
Yes.
And it was wonderful. And
Good.
Did y'all,
It was awesome.
any of you read it?
Yay.
Know about it?
It
Yes.
was awesome.
A
So
national library event.
A Snake Falls to Earth was the fourth of 4 books that we participate in. There's a national digital book club that we do every year. It's called Big Library Read. So they do 4 ebooks a year, and there's usually an ebook, and if it's available, they have an audiobook there. And so for 2 weeks, you can check out that book with no holds and no wait list. So it is automatically available to anyone who has a library card and who uses Libby. So usually there's a nonfiction book that comes out in April, a fiction book that is out sometime in the summer, and then they typically do a YA book, and that was this past October, November. And then there's usually a February book, but that book is just, I never know what they're going to pick in the theming. It's just a whatever book they decide to give us. So we, as a library system, have opted into that program. We have no control over the book that they pick. We get an email and they tell us, hey, we picked the book. Here's the book. Here's some flyers and bookmarks that you can print. And it pops up and it's there for 2 weeks. And so if you want to check it out, you're always more than welcome to. So we've had good success with them in the past. We were very excited to see how popular this one was. We were not sure.
I wasn't sure, but I thought,
Why
Taylor
not?
recommended it, so I better check it out. It was
There
great.
we go.
I thought this author must be, she must be 60, 65. Dadgummit if she wasn't 35 years old, and it's incredible, the detail. And in trying to write things myself for Halloween, I tried not to use words like cell phones and something that would be generic anytime. This person used every modern website concept that things that they were fake, I think, but they were examples of what's out there. Had no idea of all this stuff. So it's a wonderful fantasy slash real life struggle of a young woman growing up in Navajo Nation. I don't even begin to give you half. It's a very good read.
So if you missed out on it, the title is no longer available in the no holds simultaneous use format, but we do have a copy of it in Libby, and we have a couple hard copies in the library as well. So if you would if you prefer a physical copy of the book, you can request that as well if you didn't get a chance to read it while it was there. And we should have a new title available again for the simultaneous use in February. So they'll tell us mid-January and we'll know more then. All right. I'm running before someone else has a question.
Thank you, Taylor.
You're very welcome.
That was a lot. These look fabulous.
It was. And I will grab the library cards from you before we all leave.
Gotcha.
Not right now. We'll grab it again.
Thank you, thank you. Old business, I don't think we actually have any. I think we covered everything ahead of time.
Good.
Same thing with new business was actually, we talked about Lyle and the other things. Okay, board member updates. So I'll start on this end with Elaine. Anything to add? Anything? Any comments?
I put through my application and thank you for taking my 15 resumes. I tried to send it to the email and I kept getting a bounce back saying the recipients didn't get it. So Eric emailed me
He fixed
back
it.
and let
He
me
fixed
know.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. So,
Hopefully.
yeah, I really wanted.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. So yeah, I put in. So hopefully I'll still continue my tenure. I enjoy working with all of you. It's been really fun. So I hope to do that again.
Thanks. Carol.
No, but just thank you for all the goodies. That was a great breakfast.
Yeah.
Other just that we had a successful book sale.
You sure did.
The net was 6,200.
Yep. That's a nice addition.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah.
I have nothing this time.
Edith.
Nothing this time. I actually do have something to brag about. This past semester, we worked with one of our faculty members' art appreciation class and 3D printed ancient artifacts from Greece, and then they went on to paint them, and it was a really cool activity.
Nice. Always good to know what's going on over there. That's great. Phyllis?
Well, we have, in our Floral City Friends, we have redone all of our bylaws. We've changed our annual year so that it fits with vocals, January to December, all of those things. And as far as our library, I'm just real thrilled that Tom Ritchie and the Heritage Council is doing programs for the library, because we have a lot of things to offer. And in the past, we've the library and the Heritage Council have cooperated in like a day camp and in programs back and forth. So that's kind of what's going on with us.
Great, thanks. Shavana?
No update for me. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks. So just to let you know, also at the Friends in Central Ridge, we did the same thing, went through all the bylaws and all the rules and regulations, and just changed a little bit of the wording to make it so that it made more sense and it was a little more updated. Nothing drastic. They also sponsored the Christmas tree in the lobby of Central Ridge, which is put up by the Key Training Center. And it is, this is my favorite this year. So if you haven't had a chance to look, it's amazing. I mean, it's huge. It's in the lobby. It's like, the Christmas elf comes. She comes, she puts it up. It's beautiful. And then after the holidays, it's gone. She takes it, she stores it, puts it away. And most of the time, a lot of the things that are on the tree are things that people have donated to Key Training. So I don't know where she stores all this stuff and how she organizes it, but they do an unbelievable job. And it's just an amazing organization. So in Central Ridge, we love what they do, and we like to partner with them. So it's really great. So if you have a chance and you're around, just go take a look at it. It has lights on it and everything. It's fabulous.
I think all the branches have trees up now. I know,
Do they?
Coastal and Lakes also partner with the Key Center. Homosassa, the Friends, they get theirs out of storage and they've put theirs up. So everybody has one.
Oh, good.
And so Floral City, they don't have a lot of space, but they squeeze it.
They moved it to
They-
the corner this
That's
year.
right. It was in the corner. I remember now. It looks
Yeah.
very, very nice.
Oh, I saw
And,
it Friday night. Yep.
Yep. And so it's a very spirited season at the library. It's very nice.
I
And
have
I-
a question.
Oh, God.
Did you guys have a parade float in the Christmas parade for the library?
No, we do not.
No, we do not. That happened about 20 years ago, and I think everybody said never again.
I've done it with the Boy Scouts, okay?
No,
Like,
it's
I know what
we
that
would love it
entails.
if we had the time. The problem is simply time.
Yes.
I mean, it could be a volunteer-driven thing. It's just that
Yes.
this time of year we're so busy doing programs
Yeah.
that
It would have to be a volunteer
yeah,
thing.
the 40 some odd staff we have, we just can't squeeze them all in. There's so many events going on, but it is pretty cool.
Mosquito control had a float.
How about in March, like for St. Patrick's Day or something?
Oh, there you go.
Is it slower then? You could maybe do something like a parade for that.
I would say, currently, with the working of the 48 staff that we have, everybody is pretty maxed out. I mean, keep in mind, guys, we run 5 branches. We do programs pretty much 6 days a week at different places and different things. Of those 49 staff, 13 of those positions are part-time. And so we also run all of our own IT, all of our own admin, and all of our own things like that. So, and the materials management processing. So that's why, and Adam and I were talking about it before. He had an opportunity to visit the new library that was built in Winter Park last Friday. And so it's wonderful. I think, how many staff did that one building have? 35 staff, one building. So
Wow.
that's why I always say I put our staff and our crew and our people up against any library system in the state because they work very hard at squeezing as much value out of the time we have available. So not that we wouldn't want to do some of those other things. It really is a matter of time. But as the county grows and as everything grows, we'll be talking to this board when we get into the planning sessions or planning time, and your input's valuable. As we put that in, we will at some point have to grow the staffing if we want to grow the programming capabilities in the community. So that's something we'll be talking about more in the coming year. Absolutely.
As our population grows, we have
As
to
our
grow as
population
well.
grows. And demand on services increases.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to change. But I love your idea.
Yeah.
Throw it out there to the
Oh, I
volunteers.
love Christmas floats. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, me too.
But it's the timing of it. It's crazy.
So.
And mosquito control has a bigger budget than we do. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta
Just
do
throwing
all
that out there for all the
science.
mosquito control folks that are watching.
I'm a parade pusher, so.
Yes.
It's always good. I did it with the Boy Scouts, and it is a lot of work. But
Hearing all of these things that your mighty but few staff have done, maybe part of what we could think about appropriately is having letters to the legislature about the impact that these the bulbs, the bicycles, the reading, the minutes. I think if there was some appropriate way to ask the children, the adults, the seniors, the friends, everybody to do a writing, maybe that could be part of the theme of 2023 of Love Your Library, is writing love letters to the legislature about what the library means to me. And that makes a difference. When they see a child, or even when they can't even read the writing, they know that it means a lot to the community. I think Citrus County is sort of, known to the rest of Florida as manatees, and why is it citrus? There's no oranges here anymore. So,
The oranges are in Manatee County.
yeah.
Just so you know.
So, anyway, but that kind of a campaign that if at every event there was something that we could have love letters to the powers that be or something.
You're absolutely right. And that kind of advocacy, the Florida Library Association does try to coordinate some of that, but we do need to possibly circle the wagons on some local advocacy efforts for that. It's
we
the
could
right
step
time
that
of,
up in the
right
coming
time of
now.
year. It's never a bad time to reach out to your local legislators from the state funding perspective with those kinds of sentiments, because you're absolutely right. A personal connection about things carries a lot more influence because of it shows what the impact of those services are. When you look at statistics on a page and budget numbers on a page, and that really you just don't get the feel for the actual human impact that these kind of things can make. So
Can I make a recommendation? I was going to recommend the monkey surveys and have people take surveys, but I think that Taylor's really great with that interactive website. Maybe you put like little pop-up buttons throughout the website and say, what do you like better, this or that, and ask them different questions regarding the programs that they like and what they prefer, like what times and all that. You could gauge your audience so well just by getting those little tidbits of information.
yes.
So.
And that's true. At the big book sale, we've had people at the entrance or when they come out and they have a paper there, and they'll say, you know, what did you like, what didn't you, and get actual comments and quote from the patrons, and they get the feedback that way. And we were also talking about that before COVID. We talked about this, about having like maybe like a little postcard that's already stamped on the other side with different legislators' addresses, and have people at our events just write something on it, and then we'll
That's a good
mail
way to
it.
get
You
it
know,
done.
so
Yeah.
that was something that we did talk about before. It's just then COVID hit, and we haven't done that.
Yep.
So we do need to step
Time
that
to
back
get back
up.
to it, yes.
Yeah.
And actually, this board has had, various subcommittees before with regard to advocacy or legislative or other types of things. It wasn't Love Your Library took over for a while because that was such a huge event. It took up everyone's time. But there have been, iterations of different, not always standing committees, just sometimes an ad hoc committee to do a particular task, like advocate for a very specific purpose to legislators or even local officials.
Yeah, we need to step that up again now that we're kind of back to normal. So,
On the website front, there is a section that is available under the About Us tab. There's a section called Library Stories, and that is a place where people can fill out an online form that we get sent to myself and to Vicky, who manages our website. And so there's a little button that says submit your own story. And so we already have some quotes and feel good, happy stories that are there. Again, it is a time thing.
Yes.
If we tell people, we have told people in the past that it is there, but we have to remind staff. If staff remember to tell patrons, and if the patrons remember to fill it out, then we get it. But there's a lot of things that we cover in a normal interaction with our patrons. So there's only so much we can make sure they remember and
Right.
can follow through on. So, but we do have that section that is there. And so it's just if stories are submitted to us, we are able to update and go from there. But we do have something already there. So I just wanted to let you know that if you had stories to submit, there's something that's there.
thank you.
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
Anybody have anything else? Nope. Okay. The next meeting will be February 28th, which we will have some new members.
Just one.
The applications are going in now, and then I guess at the January meeting, they'll be approved by the BOCC, and
Governing board.
the whole
Last
seven-member
meeting,
board.
the deadline application is December 30th, and then they go and they'll schedule a governing board meeting. That includes the two cities. That will be the last meeting in January. It'll be part of the BOCC meeting, and then that makes that official, and then we move forward for the 28th of February. That'll be our first meeting of the year, and at that point, at that meeting, we typically
Swear in.
select the chair, and we'll do a swearing in of any new members, and then you select the chair and the vice chair for the coming year, and move forward.
Okay, that's the schedule.
Yeah.
All right, we will meet here on February 28th, and I move that we adjourn the meeting.